think we're about halfway with this chapter. All right, infections of the appendix. So it's gonna be on the right lower quadrant because that's where your appendix is actually found. So what happens to your appendix, in case you guys are curious, what happens is that the appendix, the only thing that we know so far is that it collects bacteria. And from what I understand is that it collects bacteria kind of like to store the bacteria, and then it helps combat against other issues in your digestive system. I just like broadly know what it does. I don't know anything specific. But because of that collection of bacteria and other stuff, sometimes the appendix, it'll get clogged. All right? It'll get clogged. And when it gets clogged, that's when it gets inflamed. And that's when you have appendicitis. It's because it's clogged. So a few things you're gonna have. You're definitely gonna be nauseous, and you might be throwing up. You might not. I know that when I had this, because I did have appendicitis, and they had to take it out when I was smaller, I was definitely vomiting, but it took a while before I was vomiting from when the pain started. See, pain often initially referred to umbilicus, a region followed by persistent right lower quadrant pain. That sounds about right. Rupture, sudden severe increase in pain. So the reason for the pain, oh, it says right here, is because of the peritoneum. So because peritoneum, parietal peritoneum, yeah, because the peritoneum, that membrane, whenever that bacteria or whatever was inside your appendix bursts, that is going to touch the peritoneum and it's going to irritate it. And that's when you get peritonitis. Remember, itis just means an inflammation of something. Peritonitis means that the membrane is inflamed, and it's inflamed, and it's because of the irritation from the bacteria and everything else that ruptured out of your appendix. And just talked about what that was, so I'm not going to cover it really. The only other thing you should know about peritonitis, and this is in regards to like a rupture. So for example, if the appendix ruptured and all that was the fluid that was in there went on the peritoneum, when that patient is moved around, they're gonna be in severe pain when they are moving around, and that's because that fluid that's the fluid bacteria that was in the appendix is now kind of just slushing around inside the stomach and just going back and forth across the peritoneum, and that causes extreme pain for your patients. So if your patient has pain when you're moving them, it's extreme pain in the abdomen, it's a good chance that something ruptured in the abdomen and spilled over onto the peritoneum and is now irritating and causing all that pain, and that's where it's coming from. That's just a possibility. Like I said, we don't really know what's going on with abdomen injuries. Our best bet is to take them to the hospital and take them there fast. Sorry, give me a second. I'm gonna charge my laptop. There we go. All right. So cholecystis. I can't even say that. So often caused by blockage of its outlets by gallstones. Symptoms often worsen by ingesting. We talked about this already. This was the gallbladder. I think that it was a test question. So we talked about this already. Pancreatis, if that just means that the pancreas is inflamed. There are different conditions, different issues that will cause the pancreas to inflame and get irritated. Because it is on the top portion of the stomach, you're gonna have epigastric pain. Remember, epi means above, gastric, we're talking about the stomach or the GI system. All right, so epigastric pain, above the stomach, on top of the stomach. Often referred to back and or shoulder pain. So with hemorrhage, when you're bleeding inside your GI tract, you can have upper GI bleed or lower GI bleed. So whenever you have upper GI bleed, that means you're bleeding on the top portion of your esophagus. So your esophagus is that tube that runs on the backside of your trachea. So if the top portion of that esophagus has a tear somewhere, or ulcer, and it's bleeding, that blood can come out through your mouth, obviously. If it's lower on the esophagus, you can regurgitate that blood, so it's gonna go down into your stomach with whatever else is going in down in there. It's gonna leak into your stomach. Well, we cannot digest raw blood. So if we digest raw blood, it's going to kind of halfway get processed, and then your body, your stomach, is going to not accept it and reject that blood, and you will vomit it. So if it is a lower GI bleed, what you'll see is your patient might be vomiting like coffee grounds. It's like a coffee ground substance. It looks brown and disgusting, and I'm not sure how it smells. I've never seen it, but it'll be a dark brown-like, grainy-like vomit. That means your patient most likely has a bleed in the esophagus, and that blood is going down into the stomach, and it's being half processed because your body cannot digest raw blood and thrown back out because you can't process that. Signs and symptoms. Okay, so if you have a GI bleed down your GI tract, below your stomach, on the lower portion of your stomach, what could happen is that it will run down through your GI tract, down through your intestines, your small intestines, and your large intestine, and it will come out as dark stool. So if it's an upper GI bleed, your patient will reject that blood, and you will vomit it, and it'll be like a black coffee ground like vomit. Or if it's actually processed through your GI tract, it's gonna come out as black stool. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wait on here for a few seconds and let you guys go ahead and just take some notes on this. It's pretty important.